For joining us on the Skeptic Psychic, where we delve into ancient societies, the ghosts, the paranormal, UFOs, all looking at it from the perspective of the true believer and from the skeptic perspective. Joining me, my partner, my co-host, my sibling, Kimber Rodriguez. Myself, I am Richard Gregg. And again, let's look into being the Skeptic Psychic. Hello, and thank you once again for coming to a special Skeptic Psychic, where we delve into the wonderful world of who are we, what do we want, what do we do, and what exactly are we trying to do in this program. My host, as always, will be this wonderful, extraordinary yin to the yang of mercy, and a smart, intelligent, funny, courageous, brave, clean, ADHD affiliate, Kimber Rodriguez.
Hey, half of your head is like cut off.
Half my head is cut off, and what do you have to have?
There you go. Now we see you. So, as you mentioned, tonight is a very special episode. For those of you who are unaware, it is National Paranormal Day, which means that today we celebrate all things odd and strange and creepy. So, we wanted to go ahead and do a live today and answer some questions. So if you are out there listening and watching and you have questions for us, go ahead and type them in and we will answer them on air. And we also have some questions together that we're going to interview each other with.
Alrighty, we do have the first question of the day. With all the stories out there of possessed items, do either one of you ever wondered if you've ever come across one?
Yeah. I personally haven't. It's something that I've always kind of been curious about, though. I don't know. Maybe it's just my weird obsession with the paranormal and wanting to experience more of the paranormal. But I've always thought it would be cool to come across something that's possessed or haunted. I don't think I'd keep it depending on the spirit attached to it. But what about you?
Well, I've never actually owned a possessed item, but I have known other people that have had items in their houses that have been felt the presence of either a deceased relative, say like a grandparent, or a or even a deceased loved one, that sort of thing. So me personally, no, I've never owned anything that's been possessed.
Yes. So, do you want to go ahead and get started with the questions that we have for each other tonight?
Sure, I would love to start asking the questions. Let me go ahead and ask what was the inspiration that started you on that journey into studying the supernatural? How old were you when you first decided to research?
Well, I actually started really young. For those of you who don't know, our mother is a psychic. She's not like a practicing psychic where she, does readings for money, but she has had several different experiences throughout her life with seeing spirits, having dreams that have come true, um, reading our minds, just different things like that. And I remember being about maybe, I want to say 3 or 4 years old, even sitting at her feet, listening to her tell her stories to her friends and family. And it fascinated me. I thought that was the coolest thing in the world that my mother could see these things and hear these things. And then it's just something that I became obsessed with and wanted to experience on my own. So I started as a kid pretending like I was ghost hunting or trying to ghost hunt, not knowing what I was doing, reading everything I could about ghost stories and haunted places, you name it. And what about you? What started your journey on this paranormal kick?
Well, I would say about 4 or 5 years old, kind of getting the odd feelings, situations where you'd go by a house and you'd get scared, that sort of thing. Not being an old abandoned house, but just walking by a certain houses, that sort of thing, in the neighborhood. It didn't really actually get more deepened until these. I would say, oh, it was just this one little certain type of movie that came out in the summer of 1984. I was in sixth grade, which means I was probably about 13 years old. And, ladies and gentlemen, I would say what really got me into studying a little bit more of what I was the movie with my personal wonderful person I like to sit down and talk the paranormal with, Mr. Dan Aykroyd, aka the Ghostbusters.
Wow, you were that young when the movie came out? I thought you were older than that. Interesting.
Now, 1984, I was 13 years old, going to be 14 December 16th.
Interesting. I do remember you going around telling everybody you wanted to be a Ghostbuster after seeing that movie.
Yes,
That was what you wanted to do when you grew up, was be a Ghostbuster.
yes. So,
Yes. Um, one sec. So, what gifts do you have or wish you did or did not possess? Why do you not want them or want them? And what are you doing to learn or unlearn the skills that you have?
okay. I've been known to be uh, auto clarity. Uh, I've actually seen. I've actually. Uh, what are the words I'm looking for, Kim?
You are audio sentient.
Audio,
You've heard spirits.
right?
You're clairsentient. You've
You've
seen
seen
spirits.
spirits.
Um, you've also
I've actually had certain scents that have crossed my nose that in rooms that aren't supposed, that really don't have any sense in them. It might be
mhm.
a dry, dusty house, but then I get a scent of either lavender or some type of perfume, that sort of thing.
You've also had dreams that have come true.
Yes,
And foreknowledge, like such as when Papa Don died.
right. And
And
back, I believe it was right before I moved up there or down to Mission from San Antonio to be with you. It was like uh, a week. Uh, really don't. I think it was like in 2004. That was when Pawpaw died, right?
mhm,
May of that year, one of my best friends uh, committed suicide. A week before, I saw a body come flopping down in a noose from what looked like an old horse building, and come to find out when I talked to his wife a week later, when she called me, that's how he killed himself.
oh my goodness, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, so that
Mm.
I don't now I don't like the fact that I can be all these things. Uh, I would rather, you know, I mean, when you're a kid, it's like, oh, I could do this, I could do that. But when you start get to a point where these things, what's the old the little cartoon meme where the ghost walks up to the guy and says, "Can you see me? Can you hear me?" And the guy's like, "Well, yeah." And the ghost turns around and says, "Hey guys, we got another one." And just a swarm of them are sitting there going, "Hey, how you doing? Hey, look at me, look at me, look at you know that sort of thing.
Yes. I
And
once had
sometimes,
a I once had a friend who was a medium also, and she said that it's kind of like when you're able to sign and you come across a deaf person who finds out you can sign, and they're so excited that they can communicate with you. It's like, hey, wait, I'm still talking to you, and you just can't get them to let you go. She says that's how it is with spirit. When they find out you can hear them and see them, they get excited and they want to talk to you, and they won't leave you alone.
right? And I've also experienced a lot of dark entities. Not only every house that I've lived in up until the time that I left the Navy was haunted. Uh, have I ever told you about the blonde nun that hung out my bedroom?
Hmm. The one all in white growing up.
Yes.
Hmm.
Uh, like I said, there's also the house that mom is currently living in. There is something dark and nasty in there that likes to call my name whenever I'm visiting. So, so yeah, I don't want that because I don't know how to control it. If I did know how to control it, I'd probably be a little bit more receptive. But
Would that be something that you would be willing to do, as if you found someone who could teach you how to control it and how to open it and close it as needed? Would you be more willing to be accepting of your gift?
accepting, yes, liking it, it's going to be a long uphill battle.
That makes sense.
What
So,
about you? What gifts do you have, or wish you did?
well, I do wish I could see spirit, but I unfortunately can't. But I do have I am very intuitive. I've had dreams that have come true. I've also known things about people. Um, I'm beginning to think I might be empathic because I can kind of sense how people are, not just know things about them, but know how they are as a person, whether they're a positive person or a negative person. Um, and if somebody's like the other day, my boss was really stressed out, and I felt myself getting that way. Like I felt myself stressing out, and he didn't even tell me he was stressed or anything. I just kind of picked up on it, and I started feeling that way. So I definitely think I might be empathic. As far as it goes, I would like to be able to experience these things more, and so I have been trying to um, tune into that more with a little bit of meditation and grounding. And I do for myself. I haven't done it for other people, but I do read tarot. And I have usually play around with that. Well, I wouldn't say play around, but I do read tarot, like for me and Mercy. But I'm still nervous about reading for other people because the fact that I haven't really perfected my intuition. I don't want to lead somebody down the wrong path or give them bad information, if that makes sense.
Hmm, interesting.
Yes. Um, so you shared that you've seen spirits and how they aren't always what you want to see. How is it that you enjoy watching all the paranormal shows with all the psychics and spooks, and yet you don't watch horror movies?
Because I can actually separate myself from watching the show and seeing the tools that they use, and they're actually trying to help, as opposed to horror movies where 9 times out of 10 the bad guys lose or bad guys win. And being an emphatic person, which yes I am, I'm feeling people that watch horror movies with me, their fears as well. So it makes me very uncomfortable.
That makes sense. We actually have another question from Shauna. She asks, "What drew me to tarot that I use?" Actually, what drew me to the tarot deck that I use is the fact that it has adorable little animals on it. And being a animal lover, I just felt like it would be perfect for me. So as you can see, it's got like unicorns. Whoa, if I can bring it up, unicorns and cats and crows and other animals, and it's just a really cute deck. And so that's what drew me to it is the fact that I love animals. I feel akin to animals, and so when I saw it had animals on it, I was like, I'm gonna try that one out. But as for the horror movies, I personally do. I like to watch the older movies. I like the mystery, the suspense. I'm not really big into today's movies because of the fact that they all go into the shock factor and see how gory they can get, just for the shock value, and I don't enjoy the gore. I don't want to puke when I'm watching a movie. Sorry. But I do enjoy watching the older movies with the suspense and the what I love is those movies where you think you've got it all figured out and then it takes a twist and things aren't what you thought. I love those kind of movies.
Well, being that you do delve into that world using the tarot, do you believe it's a true tool in a spiritualist toolbox, or is it just for fun and games?
Um, I personally believe that it is it is a tool. I believe that it's a way to hone in um, on your own intuition as you're using the cards. You're opening your mind to your own intuition, and what's coming through is your own mind and your own thoughts, or as I say, your higher self giving you the guidance for that. That's my belief in using the tarot.
Hmm. Okay. What are your feelings? Only known as the, should we actually call it the spiritual board, or just what was originally called the Ouija?
The Ouija, the Yaya, the witch board, the spirit board. Again, I think it's a tool, more of a tool to communicate with spirit other than your own intuition. I do believe spirits can communicate through you. I don't necessarily feel it's evil per se, but I do think it has to be used with caution and respect. It's just like to me going in with a ghost box or going into a haunted home. Um, there is a proper way to do it, and an improper way to do it. And I think as long as you respect it and do things correctly and into the communication and close it when you're done so that nothing else can come in, I don't personally feel it's a evil thing. What are your thoughts on
Gonna surprise you.
it?
What do you think?
I think you think it's an evil thing that you should stay away from.
Actually, everybody, hold on to your seats. I think it's the biggest sham ever.
Really?
Yes, I think that the basic movements happening with the board itself are involuntary uh, impulses that you're doing because you're you know, people will say, "Well, I'm not doing it. You must be doing it." 9 times out of 10, it's the other person that denies them doing it are actually the ones controlling you. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Again, skeptic, psychic.
And it's interesting you say that because this is what I thought for years. I never believed in it until recently I went to a friend's house and we were using it, and everybody had their hands off of it except for me. And I was kind of paying more attention to them because we were trying to think of what to ask next. And I asked a question while I was the only one touching it, not really paying attention, and it started to move. And I knew I wasn't pushing it, and nobody else was because I was the only one touching it. So I was like, okay, maybe there is something to this.
Yeah, it's never happened to me. I've actually done a couple of them, and it's like uh, days later or weeks later, I have to overhear a conversation about, yeah, I did this, this, and this, you know.
Mm.
So
So you don't believe Scott's story about when they supposedly contacted Elvis and the teddy bear hit the stereo and it started playing teddy bear? No.
no, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but yes, I don't believe in the Ouija board, because why would somebody like Milton Bradley, Hasbro, the Parker Brothers put out items that are supposedly evil or be able to contact the other world, make a, release something like that if it was evil?
I've thought that myself for years. However, the one that I played with was not a Parker Brothers Milton Bradley, so who knows?
Yeah.
So, what is your favorite cryptid and why?
Some people would say it's the chupacabra. It might be Bigfoot, the Yeti, uh, the Yowie, uh, skunk ape, the coelacanth. But actually, I would say, yeah, it is the Tasmanian tiger,
And why?
because it's just it's has so much truth behind it. I mean, they actually did have one in captivity for a long time, while as in Bigfoot or any of these others, they've never actually had one in their hands.
That makes sense.
Although, I love hearing the stories about these other cryptoids, and the theories. But yeah, my favorite is the Thysaline.
Interesting. For me, I would have to say the Jersey Devil.
Mm, that's a
And
great myth.
yes, but the story, I mean, it's just so fascinating. And so, yeah, I have friends who live in the area that have said that they think they might have personally seen one. Um, Now, whether it really does exist or not, I couldn't say, but I do have to say that the story to me is really interesting and a great myth.
Yes. So, what book are you currently reading?
Actually, I don't have time to read. I haven't read a book in quite a while. Usually, I spend my time either playing games or watching TV with Mercy. Um, we've currently been watching the Dead Files on Discovery Plus. How about you?
Well, right now I am reading a wonderful book written by uh, a person I'm following right now, by the name of Walter
You cut it all figured
Bosley.
out, and then it takes Oops, a twist. Sorry. I'm sorry about that. Go ahead.
It's written by Walter Bosley and Richard Spence, and it's basically about some mysterious murders and suicides in the early days of of California, around historical San Bernardino, in fact.
Interesting.
I highly recommend it. And because you were talking about maybe doing some true crime type of thing, I would
Mhm.
actually love to get Walter on here to pick his brain about the Empire of the Will, as well as what he believes.
Yes.
I mean, it's basically around the time of all this was happening, you had people like Aleister Crowley around that area, Harry Houdini. So
Interesting.
these are type of things that I would really love to tack his mind.
Interesting.
Books on CD count. Kim.
Yes, most of the time when I'm in the car, I'm listening to other podcasts. I listen a lot to ghostly podcasts as well as true ghost stories online and the grave diggers. So I haven't had a chance to even listen to a book on CD in a while.
Yes. You gotta have time.
I do need to find time to read again. I used to love to read.
All right. Bringing up the fact of me actually trying to get Mr. Bosley on the phone. I mean, on on our podcast. We are interested in starting a true crime podcast one day. Is there something you'd possibly tie into supernatural components, or would you want to have it be a straight crime? What criminals fascinate you the most right now, or have you had the least attention the longest?
Um,
Are you a Jack the Ripper fan? Do you like the Zodiac killer? Do you want talk about the highway killer? Uh, you know these type of
okay.
things. You're talking serial killers. Are you talking about straight murder? Are you talking
Um,
about revenge?
all of the above. I love, also love true crime. I can't understand what could make people snap and do things like that. So I'm definitely interested in all things true crime. Now, as far as my two of my favorites actually do have a supernatural tie-in with them, and that's the Lizzie Border. I'm sorry,
Borden,
Lizzie Borden
take a note.
murders. Yes, Lizzie Borden murders and the Vasila or Velasca Axe House murders. Both of those are stories that I'm really fascinated with. I've read all about them. Um, would love to go and visit the homes at some time. Um, and as far as the Borden, like I said, I've read through everything. I've read the court case, and I personally don't think she did it.
Hmm. Think it's
Um,
the maid? Do you think it's the uncle next door? Do you think it's the aunt next door? Do you think of some crazy little children that went bah ha ha ha?
well, I think the sister. I know the sister was out of town when it happened, but personally, I've always felt like maybe she did have something to do with it. Because I do know that they did have a falling out and never spoke to each other again. And I wonder if Lizzie just got to the point where she couldn't handle the fact of knowing what her sister was involved with and couldn't live with it anymore, not being able to tell anybody. Um, it is possible the uncle had something to do with it. Um, and I do think that Lizzie does know who the killer is, but I don't think it was her, and she'll never tell who it was. That's my opinion.
Hmm. I'm more or less the conspiracy theory of the unsolved serial killers, like Jack the Ripper or Zodiac or even Son of Sam. I mean, there's new evidence that possibly the gentleman who in the Son of Sam case might have not actually done it. He was just some crazy guy that believed that he did it. But yeah,
Interesting. So, You are really into conspiracy theories. I know this. Are those the only conspiracy theories that you're into, or are there others that fascinate you? And why do they fascinate you so much?
Mm, well, conspiracy theories are just that. They're theories based on some type of conspiracy. JFK, Abraham Lincoln. Let's actually go into, like I said, the true crime conspiracy theory that Jack the Ripper may or may not have been the Prince of England.
Hmm.
So it's just uh, the theories themselves having information backing up is a fascinating topic. Do I believe some of the theories? That's up in the air. But it's interesting to actually look at that. Like, okay, yeah, the Zodiac killer's DNA has been found to be this guy who's 40 years old now, whose father was supposedly living in California, as opposed to, yeah, Lee Harvey Oswald saw everything and was framed for shooting Kennedy.
That's taking it way out there.
No, that's the theories.
Right. So, if you could meet any person from the past or future that is not related to you or is not a religious figure, who would you like to meet?
Two people. Both are on my I celebrate my birthday with. One happened to be Ludwig van Beethoven, of course. 200 years, he would be 52. The other person is Arthur C. Clarke. He was the gentleman who wrote 2001: A Space Odyssey, Childhood's End, that sort of thing. He would seem to be a very fascinating person that would actually, I would love to pick his brain on the paranormal versus parafactual, is how he put it.
Hmm, interesting.
And of course, just to sit back and have a cold one, I would actually have to say Samuel Leghorn Clemens, which is basically Mark Twain,
Right,
and just to goof with him.
right.
So,
For me, it would be Audrey Hepburn. No, I've been obsessed with her ever since I was young and I first saw My Fair Lady. She was a woman with style and grace and kindness and beauty. And she was everything that I aspired to be. And I would have loved to have been able to meet her.
yes, I remember a story about her, the designer she worked with for many many years. Uh, I can't remember his name, but she had come into a shop, and the designer heard that Miss Hepburn was here, and he's like, "Oh," thinking it was Catherine.
Mm-hmm.
Just pull anything off the rack. I can't do anything with your body. And to hear a very sweet, soft voice saying, "But I don't know what to wear," and to come for him to come out and see Miss Hepburn, Audrey, standing there, looking kind of confused and sad because she really wanted to wear his clothing, but so he began working with her and actually helping her, you know, to get that iconic uh, dress style, I should say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she was beautiful,
Hmm.
and always looked very stylish. Okay. If you could visit any time period, what time period would you like to visit?
Uh, Time period. Don't know. I've always been told I'm kind of a man at a time because I listen to a lot of uh, older music. In fact, my two favorite bands, being the Bangles and the Monkees, are kind of like hippy dippy, sometimes psychedelic type of music. However, I'm a big fan of the early rag of Scott Joplin. Uh, I love listening to, uh, you know, Beethoven, Frank Sinatra, Glenn Miller, all these musical tastes that I've come to know. So basically, I could not actually pick a time to listen to music because it would be such a hard decision on what time I would like to go to.
Hmm. For me, one, the 40s, because I, again, love the fashion. Love the way the women wore their hair, their dresses, the way the men dressed in the suits with the hats. Love the 40s. And then I also love the Victorian era. I love the architecture of the Victorian era and again, the fashion. So I think those are two play time periods that I would like to check out.
Okay. Tell us what one food. Tell me what one food you love and one you hate to eat. That's an easy one for me, and that's an easy one for you too.
Well, I know what food you love, but I can't think of any food you hate. Oh, wait, yes, I can.
Yes. Tell me what food I love and what food I hate.
The food you love is liver. Liver and
Yes.
onions is your favorite meal. The food you hate, you think it's the nastiest thing on earth, and don't you just can't stand the sight of it is ketchup.
Beets.
Oh, well, they're both red.
Yes.
Okay, well, you tell me what food I love and what food I hate.
I don't know.
Okay, well, I love
Little baby ducks. Oh, pickup trucks. Slow moving trains and rain. No.
no, not to eat. For
Mangled baby ducks. That's what you love to eat. Mangled baby ducks.
no, my favorite food is Italian. Love anything pasta based. And food I don't like beets. I'm not a big fish person. Ever since we were kids and I watched dad gut a fish, it grossed me out to this day. I can't eat fish. Unless it's like maybe the Alaskan cod or, but nothing too fishy.
Right.
Um, so yeah, those are my favorites and unfavorite foods. Do you believe in aliens and why?
Yes. Why? Is the fact of in the Bible when it says that there are many, many sheep within my kingdom that you will never know. And I'm thinking to myself, well, the universe is the kingdom of God.
Uh, Shauna says that we're both uninvited next time she makes borscht.
Nah, I eat it because I love her.
uh, for me, I personally don't believe in aliens. I believe that what he was talking about are his the folds on Earth, the different people across the world. I just have a very hard time believing that different creatures from different universes and galaxies and would travel all this way just to check us out. So I definitely don't believe that we are being visited by aliens. And like I said, I have a hard time believing that there's aliens out there other than what we have here on our Earth. Although they did find microorganisms on Mars, so technically that I have been told that does count as aliens.
Okay. What about the inner aliens. I'm not talking about UFOs. I'm talking about the inner space, like people living in the Hollow Earth type situation,
Well, I don't believe those are aliens. I think those are just people who decided to move underground because they got sick of society.
like lizard people
No,
or people that you know that have gone that lived for thousands of years in the inner Earth. The
no,
first people.
I don't believe in lizard people.
What about ant people?
No,
I mean, the Native Americans do have legends of ant people that helped them avoid a cataclysm by living with them for about 1,000 years underground.
I think they're just regular people. Um, don't believe in mole people. Again, just I think they're regular people who got sick of society and moved underground.
Hmm.
So again, the skeptic side.
Yep.
So
So, are you fascinated with the with witchcraft and its history?
um, to some extent,
Why?
um, I just think it's interesting. I do believe that there is magic all around us. That there is, I do think this is a magical world, and I think it's interesting that they are able to tap into that magic. Um, I personally would not want to try it because I believe that even if you are using it for good, you still are opening things. And bringing it, that there's a chance of something negative being forming an attachment. I guess you could say that also with ghost hunting. Um, but yeah, I just like I said, I think it's fascinating that practitioners are able to, like the brujas of Mexico and the voodoo priestess and different people like that they're able to tap into that magic that's around us in the world. And that just, it's a fascinating thing to me.
Okay. Me personally, I'm not really interested in witchcraft or even
So again, I wouldn't practice it, but I do think it is fascinating.
right.
Let's see. Um, you've talked about possibly us going to conventions in the future. What convention would be a dream to be invited to?
Mm. Well, if everything goes off, you may laugh, but well, of course, one of the Paracons. But yes, I would really love to do a table panel at San Diego Comic Con.
Oh, that would be cool.
Talking about uh, being a skeptic psychic and that sort of thing, and just having a very paranormal conversation. Fact versus fiction on that.
That would be interesting. For me, uh, Dave Schrader has a cruise that he does every year, and I think it would be fun to join him on that cruise and just hang out with a bunch of paranormal enthusiasts. And then there's also the Las Vegas Paracon. That's a pretty big one that I'd like to attend someday.
There's also the I believe northeastern or New England Paranormal Society convention that happens every year.
That would be fun.
So
Yes. So, what are you afraid of? Do you have any phobias?
yes, I am afraid of. Well, I'm afraid of. I have a fear of dying alone. I also have a fear of, you know, my talent, and just that's one of the reasons why I know further on you do want to know why I drink caffeinated drinks. It's because I found that it actually uh, deters the inner eye a lot. It diffuses it, so,
Interesting.
and it also helps out my ADHD in a wrong way.
That's interesting because a lot of people who have ADHD, the caffeine actually helps them calm down
Right.
and focus. For me, it does nothing. It doesn't affect me. But as far as fears, I do have a fear of spiders, and I'm also afraid of growing old and death.
Hmm. Ah.
Yeah, so those are my fears. Do you feel like your ADHD and stuff? Do you think it makes it hard for you to run a podcast, or do you believe you can you can do anything if you set your mind to it?
Yes and yes.
Okay.
Basically, it's like we're sitting here talking, and meanwhile, I'm doing two or three things at the same time. I'm looking on the questions that we're asking. I'm thinking about what I'm going to say next. I'm actually looking online for answers. Because I couldn't remember that 1984 was the year that Ghostbusters came out, but it was one of the reasons why I thought about becoming a paranormal investigator at that time.
Hmm. For me, it does become very difficult, especially when I'm doing editing. It's very hard for me to focus, and I know people say, "Well, you just do it," but I find that when I try to force myself to do stuff, my brain literally hurts. So I have to stop and rest. So that's why some of our episodes are sometimes a little late getting out, and I apologize to our viewers and listeners for that. I am trying to get better and figure out how to schedule it around work and everything with minimum distractions. But if you've noticed also, as I'm doing the podcast, a lot of times I get pulled off onto my phone when it dings or whatever else is going on in my life. So yeah, I get my squirrel moments as well.
Right. Well, what interests do you have that aren't studying the paranormal, the supernatural, or cryptozoology?
Um, I used to enjoy reading. I haven't read in quite a while. I do like to play video games. Currently playing World of Warcraft with my friends. And I also like hanging out with friends and family. Also doing some tabletop RPGing, like Dungeons and Dragons and different games like that. Love fantasy. If I could be any fantastical character, it would be an elf because again, they're very regal and beautiful and tall
Yeah.
and very wise. I love elves.
Now, is My Fair Lady your favorite movie of all time?
That's a tough one because I have so many favorite movies. It's definitely my favorite musical of all time.
Or what about Breakfast at Tiffany's?
I love Breakfast at Tiffany's too.
Or
Um,
even just let's see, Roman Holiday. What do you think about that?
I love it. Make it easier. I can't pick a favorite movie because I love movies. I love watching movies. Um, my top time, my top five all time favorite movies are Breakfast Club, and this is in no random order: Breakfast Club, Anne of Green Gables, The Lost Boys, Breakfast at Tiffany's, And oh goodness, the fifth one I can't think of right now. But yeah, those are at least my top four. I know that there's more out there, but those are at least four that I love that I can watch over and over again.
Okay. Well,
And how about you?
okay. Favorite movie? Casablanca. Uh, any Sinbad movie done by, from the 60s and 70s. Uh, all the Harry Potter movies, all the Star Trek movies, notwithstanding. Well, I do like the Kelvin Universe Star Trek movies. TV shows, not so much. Uh, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and surprisingly, only well, no, any kaiju type of movie. Kaiju meaning like Godzilla, Mothra, Rodan. That's giant monster movies that are destroying the Earth.
Yes. Shauna asks, I bring up more than once about being tall. Does it bother me being short? Uh, yeah, actually, it does. I am only 5 foot, for those of you who don't know. And I have been the butt of jokes of that my entire life. All my friends and boyfriends and everything were always much taller than me. So my guy friends in school would use my head as a kneeling post, at least rest their arm on my head. And so, yeah, being short is something that's always bothered me. I've always wanted to be, tall and graceful and, you know,
Yes, but you followed a long line of wonderful, intelligent women who are diminutive in stature, but attitudes that far exceed that have actually scared larger people.
one being our grandmother.
Yes,
Yeah, she was 4'11", but I always swore she was 5 foot, and she would not let anybody walk all over her. She was a very strong woman in personality. What she had in personality made up for in height. That's for sure.
right. So,
Yes.
okay. What is your favorite ride at the carnival?
Hmm. I haven't been to a carnival since, gosh, years. It's been probably about 20 years since I last went to a carnival, or an amusement park. I enjoy, I'm not big on carnival rides, but I do enjoy on going to amusement parks like Fiesta Texas.
Yeah,
And I
what's your
always
favorite ride there?
I always enjoyed the water rides. I was very disappointed that my favorite water ride was no longer there, and that was the one like the tidal wave where you go on the bridge and the water splashes you. And I remember we'd always go on that ride when we'd first get there because it was hot in the summer, so we'd go on there and we'd stand on the bridge and get cooled off and wet. And then if we got too hot later on in the day, we'd go back and ride that ride again to cool off again. So yeah, the water rides were always my favorite. What about you?
Merry-go-rounds.
Really?
Yeah.
Just like the carousel type, or
Yes.
interesting?
Basically, the reason why it kind of like to close my eye and just the slowly rhythm of it going around and around kind of makes me feel like time is slowing down.
Interesting. Sorry, I got a text message. My friend is asking where I'm at, and I'm like, ah. She
It's
should
a
be on here
special
watching.
it's a special episode of the Skeptic Psychic.
Yes.
where we get to know each other. We
Yes,
already know each other very well, but
letting you get to know us.
yes.
Yes, I'm trying to see if there's any questions that we missed. Let's see. What's your
Now,
favorite season?
all four.
Ah, you don't have a favorite?
No, I love all the seasons for specific reasons.
Okay. What do you love about them?
I love the cold of the winter as well as the snow and the running through, the chill through the bones. And then you come to the spring where you can just walk outside and feel that soft, gentle rain falling upon your head. And summer, you feel that sweat beating from your brow as you're outside. That cool feeling as Then you go into fall, you've got that wind rustling and hearing the leaves kind of sprinkling off the trees. It's all of them, visually, mentally, emotionally, are very strong feeling. I mean, yeah, you can go negative and saying, well, it's too cold in the winter. It's winter. I've always found beauty in every one of the seasons.
Interesting. For me, I would have to say that it's a tie between spring and fall. Spring because that's when everything is waking up and it's the beginning of the animals are waking up from their sleep. Everything is new and bright and the flowers are blooming. And then this fall is like the exact opposite, where I don't know, from I can start to feel the spookiness in the air from September 1st, getting close to Halloween. And
Mm.
so
September
I just
1st, I'm usually tuning in to the Christmas songs.
see, I'm not allowed to listen to Christmas songs till after Thanksgiving.
No, 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 no. You got to start September 1st. You got to break into jingle bells as you're walking through the store.
No, no, because then Halloween comes first. You got to be in that spooky mode.
You can still be in the spooky mode, going jingle bells, jingle all the way. you know.
Okay.
So, what is your favorite holiday?
It's a tie between, well, my favorite holiday runs from October 31st to January 1st. I equally love Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. All for Halloween, the spookiness, and then Christmas and Thanksgiving for the familyness and the togetherness, and then followed up by starting the new year out. How about you?
Okay, that's an interesting question due to the fact of to people who don't know, but I would say to me, Palm Sunday all the way up to Easter Sunday is my favorite holiday because me being a Christian, I'm sorry to say, not saying anything wrong with any of my pagan friends, but there is a story behind in the Bible of what happens from the time Christ goes into his hometown until the day that he is resurrected. Still in that same town, mind you. It's just a fascinating week.
Interesting. That makes a lot of sense. Um, let's see. I lost my questions. I'm sorry.
I lost on Jeopardy, baby.
Let's see. I lost a question that I wanted to ask that follows up with your response to that. Um, 1 second. So, what are your thoughts on how often the media portrays psychics and ghost shows as fake entertainment?
Hmm. I do believe that there are such things as psychics. I do believe that some of these people on these shows may possess special gifts, being sensitive, that sort of thing. I just have a problem with the hype. What you see on the show is basically highlights from hours upon hours upon hours of research. And it's hyped up because you don't, it's like 3:15 in the morning, nothing's happening. 4:15, nothing happens. As the sun's slowly rising, Bob is pushed. Okay, we don't get to see what happened from 3:15 up until the dawn when Bob is pushed. I'm using Bob because Bob's a really nice guy. Someday you've got to meet Bob.
Yes.
And you know who Bob is when I use that example.
Yes. I agree. I think, we only see the highlights. And then to me, it seems like, sometimes they get a lot of evidence. Um, Not only that, but like when you're hearing these knocks and these weird noises, it's hard to say that they're really the only ones there. You got also your camera crew, your set, and everything. And how are we to know that somebody's not off making these things happen
Hmm.
sometimes? And that again is just the skeptic in me. Not that I don't believe that there are ghosts, because as everyone knows, I do. I'm just one of those people that I would have to actually be there and experience it to know that, okay, this is truly paranormal and it's not somebody faking it for ratings, if that makes sense.
Right. Now, okay, good question here. Uh, about me, of course, not really wanting too much to go on ghost hunts. But when I go on a hunt for a UFO, or go to go to a UFO site, do research, you know,
Go hunt
uh,
for Bigfoot.
go hunt for Bigfoot. Yeah, I would actually go and do that because one, I'm an outdoorsy type of person. Two, unlike ghost hunts where you go separated in groups, and you have with ghost hunting, or I mean with crypto hunting, or uh, UFOs type situation. Uh, it's not the fact of you're standing around trying to with evidence trying to convince everybody. It's a from the hunting perspective, which I've actually done one, versus is basically okay. This is it. This is the proof we have. That sort of thing. You get more stories doing hunting or crypto hunts than you do with the ghost hunting hunts. You know, that's just my experience with it.
Hmm. So when you've gone on ghost hunts, you haven't really gotten a lot of evidence.
Oh, I'm not saying that. I'm saying uh, kind of like my word against yours type situation.
Sorry, my husband's provider is heading home, so just saying goodbye to her. Um, I see what you're saying, but I mean, people say the same thing about crypto and alien. It's my word against yours, where it's like, well, I found this evidence. Well, how do we know you didn't fake that evidence? well, I heard this sound. Well, it could be anything. I mean,
Yeah, but you're also, as opposed to, okay, basically ghost hunting, it happens at night. Cryptozoology hunts, as well as UFO hunts, usually happen around the uh, afternoon, evening time, that sort of thing. Towards the end of the day, you're sitting around a campfire, or you're sitting around an area, and you're talking, whether you believe it or not, that sort of thing. Ghost hunting is like, okay, yeah, I have to go through my evidence real for a couple hours. Get to let's talk about this a couple of days later.
I see what you're saying. Now, my question is, why is it that ghost hunting always happens at night? Because spirits can be active any time of day. So I've always wondered why, oh, it has to be nighttime to go ghost hunting. Can't you just go into a home in the middle of the day and,
The excuse is that's when the most activity happens, is during, because we as people are constantly moving around, not looking for it.
okay.
You know, basically, you gotta go at night because there's nothing going on. I mean, there's not roosters crowing. Quote. Uh, the dogs, have pretty much settled in for the night unless they hear somebody walking. There's not enough cars or traffic. It's quiet
I see. Well, growing up in a haunted house, as I said, activity happens
all the time.
all the time. So, what are your thoughts on like crystals and different things like that as well?
Uh, I believe uh, certain rocks, sedimentaries, crystals, that sort of thing, can actually could, basically take a photograph of certain parts of history.
Okay. Um, I can understand that with like limestone and different rocks like that, but like
Hmm.
quartz and uh, ruby and different things like that. To me, I believe that they hold energy.
Pure energy,
Yes, and
pure energy.
yes. So I feel like those things can be good for different things that because energy is energy. It's not negative or positive. It's what you put into it that makes it what it is. If
Hmm.
that makes sense.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
We are all energy.
Yes. Everything on this earth is made up of energy.
From dust we arise, and from dust we must go back to. But our bodies live on. I mean, our souls live on.
Yes. So, is there any questions that we have missed?
Hmm. Well, let's see. Any questions that anybody that's listening would like to know about?
Anything that we missed?
How would you convince me to go on a ghost hunt?
Well, I was actually just looking at that question. One of the things that I would hope to discover if I could convince you to go on a ghost hunt with me is that and Shauna put this perfectly when I was talking to her about it. I grew up listening to your stories and mom's stories, and as I said, they fascinated me, and I always felt like well, why can't I see these things? Why can't I experience these things that y'all experience? So I would love to be able to just have that experience and see it and feel it. And um, what are you afraid that you would find if you were to go on a ghost hunt with me?
Something evil, nasty, and wants that I have to fight with to keep control.
I see. That actually makes a lot of sense. Um, we have a question about if there's a type of stone whose energy you like.
Turquoise,
Yes, you've always been drawn to that, which is interesting because that's your birthstone.
yes,
Um,
it's just always corresponded with the earth, with the Native American energy that our family has had. Take on spirit photography. Interesting topic. I would love to actually discuss that in a future episode. Basically, you've got three of them. Uh, if you ever want to see a very fascinating doc, talk about spirit photography, there is a YouTuber who's a mortician.
ask the mortician.
Ask the mortician. She did a very fascinating history as well as fake and non-fake on those type of on that topic. Me, however, the uh, the spiritualist spirit photography from the late 19th century all the way up to the I say 1935, that sort of thing, is the most comprehensive look at spirit photography. I mean, this is where we've got with the spirit photography, we've got the words ectoplasm, uh, which, if you know, in Ghostbusters, that's what Bill Murray gets covered in.
But to be fair, real ectoplasm is not a slime. It's actually a mist. When you see the mist, that is supposed to be the essence or the ectoplasm of the spirit. And that could either be the spirit dissipating or taking on form. So, yeah, it's not like he slimed me, Ray.
Yes. Oh, the humanity.
Yes. So, what are your thoughts on moving spirits or crossing spirits over?
Uh, I believe that some things do need to move on. Some things are here for a purpose. Some things that shouldn't be here are here and don't really want to go back.
That makes sense. Um, do you believe, because I know how you hear some of these psychics and they're like, oh, well, he needs to move on. His place isn't here anymore, that he shouldn't be here. He needs to go. Or do you feel like if a spirit chooses to stay for whatever reason, or, if they're not harming or hurting, do you feel like they should have the right to stick around if they want to? Or do you think that all spirits should pass into the light?
Uh, a- Again, there is some things that should be here, some things that do want to move on. There are things that shouldn't be here and stick around. Now, say great grandma has been haunting your house for generations, and you finally like, great grandma, look upon the light. Do you see the light? Your husband is there. Well, she could have really had a really bad experience with her husband, you know, so she may not want to go to the light.
Yes. But do you feel
You
like
know,
she should, or do you think she should be able to choose to stay with her family if she wants to?
I believe that everyone has choices.
Agreed.
I mean, George Jones did a very beautiful song about that. Now, the Wolfman, Dracula, the Mummy, popular and universal monster movies. Do you believe any of them existed? Let's break that down. Werewolves, There has been reports of historical people who claim to be werewolves who've been known to kill and eat. There's myths back in the Norse legends of uh, the Vikings themselves with getting wearing uh, the skin of a wolf to more become a werewolf to fight or berserk. Dracula. Everybody knows the stories of vampires. They've been it's been all the way back since right before uh, you know way back in the BC area. You know, the Mummy. I'm sorry to say this, everybody. I don't believe that mummies can actually arise from the grave like Karis, Emotep, that sort of thing. A mummy is basically the dead remains of a pharaoh or someone who's been living out in the desert, and they've been, you know,
Agreed. I personally don't believe in werewolves. Vampires, I'm kind of on the fence about. Mummies, no, don't think so. Most of them, they've already had their brain and everything else taken out. So, what would, I mean, how would this mummy even move? It's just a husk of what was left of the, their soul has even moved out of the body. So, how can they come
yes,
to life?
even notice the fact that in all incantations of the Egyptian uh, mythos that the spirit has moved either on to the other realm or is in one of the has gone into one of the little Cheops jars. They cannot go back into the body because the body they're waiting for the new body to be made.
Hmm. Exactly. So, let me see real quick if there's anything that we missed. Um, Back to the tough ones. What in the supernatural world scares you the most?
Demons.
Agreed. That's one thing that I don't think I ever want to mess with or deal with or see.
What about King Tutu Tut's curse? The curse itself was does not have to deal with anything with King Tut itself. It is more or less from the protector spirits. What mummies are actually what the rising of the a rising of the body itself. King Tut never came out of his tomb. King Tut
Yes.
actually did have a few microorganisms that may have affected Lord Carthan.
Hmm.
I,
Yeah, I think they found a natural cause for that.
I mean, we got
Um,
too many poisons or toxins in dry air, is what many of the mummy's curses would be today.
yes.
And don't get me started on the blue mummies.
What are blue mummies?
I told you don't get me. Okay.
You brought it up.
There is an internet conspiracy rumor that there are blue mummies in Egypt that may have been extraterrestrial in origin.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've never even heard of that.
that's why I said don't bring up other blue mummies.
Yes. If we could have anybody on this podcast, who would be your dream guest?
Mm. Well, we've already joked about that. I would like to have somebody one that is knowledgeable, two uh, will be able to actually have a conversation. Three, be able to laugh and joke with us as much as we like to laugh and joke and take, because we do get on some serious topics. But we have to make it light. We do a
Yes.
PG-13 podcast.
Yes.
And we're not afraid. We are afraid of somebody that wants to drop every other word an F bomb. We don't mind the occasional F, but don't be using it so many times where it's like you. It's like you think you're intelligent by using so many cuss words, which I
Yes.
do understand that smart people do cuss, but we both know that a lot of times that's kind of inappropriate behavior.
Yes. What are your thoughts on orbs?
Dust, bugs, uh, flashes of light, because really there is no such thing as complete darkness. I've been inside a cave when they turn off the lights, and I can still kind of feel that there is, give it a couple of minutes and your eyes adjust, and you do see an occasional flash of things going on. So there
I
is,
never have. I think it's just your abilities opening up. Because I've never seen anything being in the caves and they turn out the lights.
yeah, I don't believe in total darkness.
Ah, okay. Well, I think we've gone through all the questions that we have. Do you have any other questions for me? Anything that you've wanted to know about your sister?
Well, I've grown up knowing my sister, and know what she likes and doesn't like. And like I said, she's almost my one of my closest and dearest, and I'm sorry to say, bestest of best friends.
Agreed.
She is highly up there. I mean, it's not the fact of say that the fact that the summer of or the spring of when I got chicken pox, and mom kind of put us together so that way.
She could get him out in one swoop.
Right. So it was basically pretty much a very good bonding time between you and I.
Hmm.
And yes, we are kind of 6 years apart, but I kind of feel like, I got to know you on day one. When that morning, about 6 o'clock in the morning, when our brother and I woke up to find out that mom and dad weren't home,
Hmm.
and babysitter said, "Well, mom, your mother had to be rushed to the hospital." And about 10 minutes later, our father walks in the door and says, your mother and I just had gave you a baby sister." That
Hmm.
was before I knew anything else. Years later, what exactly, you know.
Yes. So, as I said, I think we went through all of our questions. Is there anything I missed or you missed?
Any other questions in the chat room? Bueller? Anyone? Hello? Is this thing on? Hello?
I think he's out sick. Ah, what's my favorite color? My favorite color is pink. As you can see, I'm wearing pink. Everything I pretty much own is pink.
Oh, you didn't say what your stone was.
Oh,
Is it garnet?
I don't know yet. I haven't actually found a stone yet that I am like drawn to the way you are with turquoise. I think all stones are pretty. I think they all, have their meanings and their significance. So I actually don't have a personal favorite yet, or one that I'm drawn to. I'll have
Yeah.
to research more on that.
Okay, and I would say my favorite colors drift between greens uh, browns, and blacks. That was a
Crystal.
that was a very good Prince album. Someday, if you guys would really love to hear one of the greatest Prince albums, you've got to listen to Crystal Balls.
Love Prince.
Yes,
Prince is awesome. Um,
definitely.
Now, in the actual crystal balls, I think they're very pretty.
They can be used as basically like a seer stone or a pan of water or even a mirror. They're just devices that you can concentrate on. Now, I don't really see an old fortune telling type woman going and saying, I see, look right there in that little crystal ball. It's more or less something like I can see, you know, from my mind, not inside the ball, but like I said, it's a tool
Interesting.
used for concentration, not an actual thing where you can look in and see the past, present, or future.
Interesting.
You?
They're pretty. They can be dangerous if you have them in direct sunlight.
Yep.
Um, but other than that, I mean, I guess like you said, they could be used as like a scrying, whether it be like a scrying stone or a mirror or even water, just something that you can gaze into to open your mind's eye.
And actually, from what I've read, you don't look directly into the crystal ball itself. You look directly behind it. You're just using it as a focal point, like the mirror, like the bowl full of water. Like the scrying stone. You don't look directly at the ball itself.
Interesting.
But then, of course, again, I highly recommend Prince's album, Crystal Ball.
I'll have to look that up. So I think, like I said, we've gone through everything. Um, any final thoughts or comments that you'd like to add?
Uh, I have my cat died around the
Hmm.
time that I went up to see my wonderful sister for that brief time, and a week later we were blessed with a 4 month old kitten.
Oh,
So she's actually being such a wonderful child for me.
oh.
So that's
So
uh, let's see. I'm hoping that a friend I haven't seen in 35 years, I'll be able to have lunch with them sometime in the next month.
oh, did you see I posted that your high school is having a reunion for all classes?
So your boys are good to you. My boys are perfect. They are very good to me. It's just that this young kitten uh, is a very how you say
Mischievous?
energetic.
That's a kitten for you.
Yes,
Yes. So yes, your
and
high
for my high school is having another reunion.
yes, for
I
all
don't
classes.
I don't know if I should actually go to my that reunion.
Ah, okay. So
I may go down to. Better mention your boys are also cats. Yes, I better mention the fact that my boys are also cats as well. I have not had the luxury of having human children.
no, neither have I.
So,
So
and like I said, I don't. If I do go back to San Antonio, which next time I do go down, I'll say hey to anybody that wants to meet with me. We'll sit down and we'll have lunch. Of course, it'd have to be Dutch. I'm sorry to say, but just to sit back and reminisce. But uh, San Antonio, my home, uh, holds nothing for me right now.
Well, your mother's there.
I know my mother's there. That's the only reason why I mentioned the fact that San Antonio is my home.
Ah, okay.
I live the George Strait song.
Ah, but you're instead of Tennessee, you're in New Mexico.
Well, I was in Washington, but now I'm in New Mexico.
Yes. Okay. Well, I think we've exhausted everything. Um, Sunday is Mother's Day, and we again will be doing a regular live episode. And this week will be on Joan Crawford and what could have possibly coerced her into being and acting the way she did.
Possibly she may have just been mentally unstable, or she could have been, the after effects of a demonic entity. So,
Yes, who knows? We'll discuss that more on Sunday. But any other thoughts before we close out tonight?
mm, we love you.
Thank
We
you for
like to act. We actually would ask you if you're on Apple Podcast to actually rate us 5 stars. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and give us a review of what we're doing. Even if you give us 3 stars and you say we suck, tell us why we suck. We learn from our mistakes. We like to know the fact that everybody, what we could do to make ourselves a much better platform.
yeah.
And we are in discussion of possibly doing some merchandising. That's for the money. No, we would love to actually create a line of cups or T-shirts, that sort of thing, to actually put the Skeptic Psychic out there in the world. So.
Yes, as well as a few other things that we have up our sleeves. And we are
Yeah,
also
I
on,
say
yes, we are also on YouTube. So make sure you like and subscribe to us there. And
Spotify. Our recordings are on Spotify, Stitch, Switch, Twitch, whatever you name it. We like to share our information with.
yes,
And we also may be thinking about doing a subscription service. What are your thoughts on that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and
yes.
people of all ages?
What would you like to see us offer for y'all? We do this not only for us, but for you. So, what would you like to hear us talk about? What would you like to see us offer? And other than that, I guess we should say sweet dreams for this episode.
And unpleasant nightmares.
A happy paranormal day, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.